Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, California Weather Watch. Today is December 19th, and right now we are looking at the infrared satellite imagery, and I've got the air mass characteristics overlaid. You can see down here in the green and the yellow, that's that tropical and subtropical air there, and it's being drawn up ahead of this low pressure system there. And you see that red in the atmosphere there? That's showing you this is like a polar bowling ball rolling down off the coast of California. It's like throwing an ice cube into a deep fryer here, and this is going to bring some pretty big impacts across some of California, shaping up to be quite a dynamic storm. So we're going to dive into these details here. We have thunderstorm threat, we got rainfall, flooding, we've got tornado potential even with this storm as well, if you can believe that. So we'll look at those details here in a moment. We'll also take a look at the extended forecast. Here's the day one excessive rainfall outlook. So we've got some pretty heavy rain that will be incoming with that next storm as well. And it's been raining off and on here for the last couple of days across a lot of central and northern California. And day two, check it out. We now have slight risk down to the central coast all the way down towards the Los Angeles metro, and this is a slight risk for flash flooding conditions. But look what's coming after that. As the storm continues to pivot down the coastline, we're going to have very intense bands of precipitation, bringing potential flash flooding conditions here, especially for some burn scar areas. We're going to have thunderstorm potential, urban flooding, small stream flooding, you name it. We're going to have it with this storm shaping up to be quite the dynamic scenario unfolding here. We've got day one thunderstorm outlook, Bay Area, central coastline, and of course, over the next couple of days, this is going to continue down the coastline and include Southern California and eventually Arizona. Now looking at the NAM 3KM, this is hot off the presses here. This is the 12Z run, and this is the stuff that's been going on this morning here, kind of pushing off to the north and east, but still continuing here over the last couple of days. You know, we've had some pretty good rounds of rainfall, especially central and northern California. Then here goes our next storm, again impacting some portions of northern California, moving down towards the Bay Area as we go on into tomorrow morning. Thunderstorm potential will be had with this system, and then look at this as we go on in through Wednesday later morning. Some of this rain starts to get very heavy across some of the transverse ranges here, Santa Barbara, Ventura, and it tries to slowly creep towards the Los Angeles metro. But look at these intense showers just continuing to bombard again some of the transverse ranges here, Santa Barbara, Ventura, and some Point Conception could be under the gun here as well. And the system just continues to sit and spin here. It's kind of a dangerous situation unfolding here for some localized areas. Could be getting some huge precipitation amounts with this storm, especially if it stalls out any longer across the area. Now, another complicating factor is we've got some CAPE, some convective available potential energy. This was what powers thunderstorms here. And if you get that localized convection, you can really increase the amount of rainfall you get in a short period of time. And so here goes that low pressure system spinning down the coastline, and look at this instability just flooding into Southern California here. So we're going to get some bouts of some very intense rainfall and potentially multiple rounds of it. And then you can see that system just sit and spin and eventually starts to throw some of this instability towards the Los Angeles metro and down towards San Diego as we go through Thursday afternoon there. Now, looking at some of the soundings here for Santa Barbara, I didn't even have to look too much because we've got a very impressive CAPE profile, convective available potential energy. This would be the surface, and this is looking up towards 30,000 feet, and you can see unstable air. There's some pretty impressive tops for Southern California. You could be looking at some mini supercells out there. And if you look at the winds, you can see how they're out of the southeast at the surface, and they turn eventually southerly and then southwest. We're going to have some impressive turning in the atmosphere at times, and there is going to be waterspout and tornado potential with some of this activity across Southern California. This is what's known as a hodograph, and that shows the southeast wind eventually turning southerly and then eventually southwesterly. So kind of a little bit of a hodograph 101 there, but we're not going to get into too much detail for that. We got way too much to cover here today. Looking at the supercell composite. Check out the storm system there and watch this start to fire off here across Southern California, showing that instability and the turning in the atmosphere. So there could be waterspout potential. And as you guys know, some of those waterspouts and those tornadoes down there can cause some damage. You can get some EF2 stuff out there across Southern California. But, that's not going to be the main player. The flooding and the heavy rainfall and some of the thunderstorm activity, some gusty winds is the main story. Now, looking at total snow Kuchera ratio in inches, again on the North American model, just wanted to point that out. We do have the winter storm warning above 8,000 feet. So heads up if you're across the higher passes out there or some of the higher terrain for some heavy snowfall. But for the most part, the snow levels should remain fairly high. However, I noticed something as we go through Wednesday evening, some of the highest peaks of Southern California, you might see a little bit of snow flying out there, but shouldn't be a major snowstorm as far as it looks right now, let's call it. Now, looking at Los Angeles National Weather Service, they are talking about this storm 2, more impactful storm. Look at this, 2 to 4 for the coast and valleys, 4 to 8 over the foothills mountains, especially especially south-facing slopes, because it's going to run right into some of these mountains perpendicular, really enhancing the terrain aspect of this heavy rainfall. And there's going to be some gusty winds with this as well. And you can see the snowballs maybe dropping down towards 7,500 feet as we go on in through Wednesday night. Now, looking at that wind, just going to go through this kind of quickly here. This is about 80 meters off the surface here, so pretty much surface winds, but you can see the impressive southeasterly wind here across some of Southern California. So you can imagine the nice turning of the atmosphere, maybe driving some water spouts or weak tornado activity into California. Maybe not even weak, maybe a little bit more than that. But anyway, you can see the storm system as it moves down the coastline there, at least via surface winds. And if you guys want a nice, affordable home weather station to record all this crazy weather we get here along the West Coast, check it out. Click on that link down below. I updated the code, so that link that I post down there should be working just fine today. Now, taking a wider look at things here, you got Hawaii to the left, and you've got basically the precipitable water here on the right, and this is 500 millibars, 18,000 feet. So it's upper levels of the atmosphere and the temperature, and you can see our bowling ball approaching the California coastline here, and you can see the very rich subtropical moisture out ahead of this system, and you can see this thing just dropping down, perfectly placed right across the central coast there, driving that subtropical and the tropical air back up into Southern California over the next few days. And that's why they have that moderate risk for excessive rainfall. Then you can see it start to eventually start to kick east. It's actually going to bring some decent amounts into Arizona and New Mexico as well. We'll look at that here in a moment. If we scroll off into the future, though, you're going to see this very cold air spilling out over the Pacific Ocean with additional systems possible, atmospheric river potential, and some strong lows on some of the models burrowing into the state of California. We'll go over that a little bit here in a moment, but we're not going to go too far into the extended forecast since there's so much to talk about today. I don't want to make this video 25 minutes long. But now looking at the European total precipitation in inches as of last night, and you can see these very heavy amounts just showing up across Southern California, mainly mountains out towards the coastal areas. The deserts, actually some places across the deserts are not picking up bad amounts also. And then you can see this plume of moisture into Arizona, and that's where this stops about Saturday night. But you can see the amounts we are expecting here over the next few days. Pretty impressive here. And we can use the rainfall, but the problem is that we're probably going to have some flooding conditions across Southern California especially. And this is looking at precipitable water here on the European. Actually, we're going to skip this one right now because I have something else that'll show that as well. Now, this is 48-hour precipitation in inches. You can see the San Francisco here. Another round is incoming here, folks, as this storm is going to spread moisture back up over the area. Look at Sacramento. Expect another inch or so. Redding maybe up towards 2. Santa Rosa, San Francisco, and some higher amounts across the coastal ranges here in the Sierra Nevada. Now, look at Southern California. This ends Sunday morning. And look at Oxnard. Some of these ridiculous totals to the northwest of LA, and some of the models are showing Los Angeles getting some very impressive amounts as well. That's what we're going to be watching closely, just how far to the east these bands of precip get, because somebody is going to get hammered here, folks. Now, taking a look here, I kind of highlighted this flash flood area out here in the moderate risk for the excessive rainfall, and you can see the moisture anomalies are 3 standard deviations above normal, so very unusual. And it's going to bring that prolonged and continuous area of broad forcing for ascent into Central and Southern California. And it's going to be pointed right at the transverse ranges there, perpendicular, which really is going to enhance the effects of the orographic precipitation amounts that we get. And as I mentioned, the instability at times will help to enhance rain rates in the stronger embedded cores. And yeah, some of the 48-hour rain rates may exceed 5 to 7 inches, locally higher, and some significant flooding is possible. So this is the real deal here, folks, incoming. And I just wanted to show this again here that the National Weather Service is showing the nice amounts across the coastal areas and the snow across the higher terrain. This is Hanford, California, and this is San Diego, California. You can see how these have been uptrending definitely over the last couple of days, especially from yesterday to today. And you can see the big amounts to the northwest, the Los Angeles metro here, and some impressive amounts all the way down through San Diego, especially some of the coastal areas. And this is also off into Arizona. Check it out. Phoenix been uptrending here, up over an inch, maybe inch and a half. Some areas are going to get higher amounts as well. You could have some flooding concerns out there also. Nice rainfall. And this is the ensemble control run here. And I want to scroll through this again. This is yesterday afternoon's view, so it goes a little bit further. And you can see the impressive amounts again. But then as we look into the extended, look at some of these amounts still slamming into California in the post-Christmas period. I mean, look at some of these totals here across some of Central and Southern California, all the way up and down the coastline here. Just, we could have that storm track pointed into California. So that's kind of what we're watching off into the future. This is Oakland. Check it out. So this is still yet to come. The control run says 2 2+ inches. Santa Barbara, I mean, look at that, 3 inches in it's not taking very long to fall here as well. That would be done by Thursday night, and you can see it really pick up on the day Wednesday. So pretty impressive 24-hour totals likely to be incoming. And then as we look off through the extended, some more impressive rainfall showing up. Look at Los Angeles International on last night's GFS, up over 3 inches. A lot of this occurring quite rapidly as well. So we have to really watch the Los Angeles Metro for some flooding concerns. Phoenix, nice amounts here. I mean, you can't complain about this winter storm activity here. You're getting up over an inch, and the control run says, maybe even up towards 2 inches. This is Bob Hope Burbank here, and you can see the impressive amounts as well. McCarran, I wanted to show Las Vegas, not expecting a huge rainstorm out of this here, but this would be some beneficial precipitation. And look at Camarillo Airport out there. Some very impressive amounts. And if you're wondering where that is, it's kind of off to the west of Thousand Oaks here, just off to the east of Ventura. Now, I wanted to show this really quick. So when I talk about the transverse ranges here, you can kind of see in the blue there, it's peninsular ranges here across Southern California as well. So that's what we're talking about. And these run kind of, east-west. So that southerly flow just runs perpendicular right into them and really enhances that rainfall. Now, I wanted to show yesterday afternoon's European run as well. So you can see the storm, the much talked about storm here today that's moving down the coastline, eventually pivots off to the east. We get kind of a system there swinging across the Intermountain West. Then the Pacific Northwest gets a few storms here, but we quickly bring, a fairly robust frontal system here as we go on into next week. But then the European has been showing some interesting atmospheric river activity off to the extended forecast. So I just wanted to highlight this. We have that storm train potentially pointed at California, and look at this monster storm that the European has in about the 10-day time frame out here as we go through December 28th and 29th. Just a monster storm that would be. I mean, I can't imagine if something like that were to develop, but we will watch it. Some of the models are showing some pretty intense storms rolling into the West Coast. Here's the 6 to 10 day here. Here's the 8 to 14. This goes all the way through January 1st here. So you can kind of see they are up to date on that storm train potentially impacting California. And the vegetation response index, I've been showing this for the last few days now, just giving everybody a heads up. Except for the flooding concerns, this is very beneficial rainfall across a lot of the area. So anyway, I'm going to do a live stream tonight because, I know I'm kind of trying to rush through this. We have so much going on today that I wanted to get this information out. And we'll do some Q&As. We'll do a live stream, and we'll just kind of watch this system. We'll watch for any trends in the models or any updates with the excessive rainfall outlooks. We'll take a look at that tornado potential down there across Southern California as well. But anyway, hope you guys are liking these videos. Click like and subscribe. Hope you can turn in for the live stream. Should be this evening here. And we'll have some fun tonight, and I will talk to you guys then.